Okay, welcome back to the problem of the week. Today's problem of the week is stand on Zanzibar. I'll go through the problem. Actually, I'll just run through the problem quickly because it's a lot of reading and I think a lot of it is fluff. So basically, the gist of a problem is that there's this turtle and he reproduces asexually and he wants to count how many turtles are coming in by migration. And the way you figure it out is that if there's a difference of more than 2 times between these integers, then he is that difference is resulting from import. Um, yeah, this problem contains a lot of fluff. Um, Very little of it is really important, so I said, we'll skip it for the sake of time. So basically, the gist is you take in a certain number here, you run that many iterations where you receive a sequence of integers that ends in 0, and you want to say how many turtles came from import, given that between 1 year and the next, so between two integers, the maximum that the population can grow by reproduction is to double it. So any more than doubling would mean that extra turtles are from reproduction. Okay, I'll run through the code now. So first I take an iteration count, so that tells you how many sequences they're inserting. I start a sequence list and an extras list. Sequence list stores the sequences here, and then extras list stores the outputs. So here I take in a bunch of sequences, I remove the 0, and then I stick it onto the sequence list. And then I have a debug point here where I spit it out to make sure everything's stored correct. And I do a nested for loop where I run through each element of the sequence and I cast it to integer, and then I again do some debugging here to make sure that goes through correct. Then here, this is like the big part of the program. I basically run through each sequence and I find the number of turtles which come from import. And then I append it to a count value, which then gets put in the output. And basically what I'm saying is if your next value is greater than 2 times this value, then you are going to say count is plus equal to the difference in those two values, which is going to give you the number of turtles which migrated in. And then I append it to this output. And then finally, I just run through the output and I print out each thing. I think it's not actually necessary that you store each output value in a list because you're probably fine just like outputting it as you calculate it. This is just something I did here to save some. Actually, it's really just something I did for protocol because I thought that was necessary. Looking back on it, it's probably not necessary. And a few tips I would leave for people doing it right now. I realize this code is kind of messy. I think there's a couple places it could have been cut down. Number one here, you would have saved some time. Instead, just typecasting when you import it. And then, honestly, you could have just condensed all of this into one for loop. 2 for loops where you just run through this. So yeah, that's my mistake. The code is a little dirty, but those are some instructions on if you want to make nicer looking code. It does increase the runtime a bit because I'm running it more times. But it's really not a concern here because the number of cases is going to be between 1 and 13. So anyways, I'll show you guys the program running. So here's the first debug point. As you can see, it took in all the sequences and then popped the zeros off, and then it typecast them to integer, and then it runs through this program. And it looks like there are, oh yeah, here, I print out the count there, so that's why there's some duplicates. All right, let me debug all the sorry, let me comment out all the debug points, and then we'll see how it runs. Just to get some clarity. Yeah, so 98,042, and that works out fine. Okay, so that's the code for today. That's the problem of the week explanation. Stay tuned for next week. Have a great weekend.